You know Apple. You've covered them for a long time. You know their story. Are things as bad as the market dictated yesterday for Apple stock?
Well, I mean, the issue we're running up against here, Dominic, is the fact that, okay, we had the iPhone came out, launched in 2007. We've had 12 years, roughly, of prosperity as iPod and smartphones have built up. But we've gotten to a point where we've got saturation in the market. And Apple's product, even though still leading in terms of customer satisfaction, certainly has moved out of the range of affordability such that replacement cycles are slowing. And the issue is that even though Tim Cook has done a great job of Apple of building up non-iPhone businesses, it's still the iPhone that rules the roost at Apple. And until such time as we get clarity as to seeing what kind of resumed growth there's going to be in the iPhone itself, I think the stock is going to continue to tread water here.
Tread water is one thing. The steep declines that we've seen, it's almost, at this point, more than 40% from the peaks that we've seen for some of those Apple shares, right? I mean, this move lower that we've seen in Apple is because of that pessimism or less optimism about the iPhone. Yesterday's, at least 2 days ago, the pre-release of that data coming out with regard to their earnings numbers. If you take a look at it, there were a couple main concerns. Slowing iPhone demand, that secular growth slowdown in smartphones, as opposed to the China slowdown story for their economy. Which one do you think is the bigger weight on Apple right now? A slowdown in its biggest product or a slowdown in one of its biggest markets?
I would say the slowdown in the bigger product itself, because while they may point geographically to China, which, Greater China being the company's third largest market globally, the fact still remains is that if Apple's going to be successful in growing iPhone unit volumes going forward, it's going to have to be in other emerging markets such as India. And one can readily say that in India, the likelihood of a $700 phone being readily adopted on a mass base by consumers is certainly far less than it is in China, where incomes are obviously higher.
David, some allusions have been made about prior smartphone giants and what they are doing today. So is Apple the next Nokia or BlackBerry?
I would say that Apple certainly has a well enough entrenched presence in people's lives from a technology standpoint. If we look at the MacBook franchise and we look at their other products, I don't think necessarily we're going to see Apple go the way of the likes of a Nokia or a Palm or a BlackBerry in that regard. So, clearly anybody who has those kinds of concerns are certainly overblown. The fact remains, we look at Apple as a stock, certainly, almost 40% or plus off of its highs. Could we see it retrench back to a level of 115, 125 a share before all is said and done? Yeah, most likely, but I think most of the damage has been done here. That said, we do need to have a very clear indication from management as to what their growth plans are going forward before people, I think, start to pile in and see this company as being the tech sector bellwether that it has been over the course of this stock market cycle off the March 2009 lows.